Welcome to the Short Funk Podcast. I'm Tom Barbalet, and today a few updates. This is probably going to be a bonus recording. The first thing I'd like to talk about is EcoSim. So since I recorded the EcoSim Short Funk Podcast, a number of folk were interested. A number of folk were interested in the source code, a number of folk were interested in where it was going, and based on this, I dug up the source code, I put it online, I booted up an old Mac, and I took some screenshots associated with the original graphics for EcoSim. When I was looking at the software, I realized that there were a number of bugs in the software that had been written by Tom in 1997 and memorialized in the little zip file, and I went through and tried to address some of those bugs. Then I thought to myself, the actual ecology simulation is rather naive, and there are probably better ways to do this. I remember when I was a university student, probably in 1998, I did a predator-prey ecology mathematics class, which I think was part of maybe solving nonlinear equations or something like that. There was some topic associated with that which dealt with predator-prey models for about a week. And I realized in that class that there were actually a number of ways to design predator-prey models. So I'm moving EcoSim from being a very basic predator-prey model to actually an energy-based predator-prey model, which I think will work out a bit better. The rules are still the same associated with what eats what. The fish are still plentiful. But I would like to thank Short Funk listeners for motivating this topic and also motivating me discovering this software again. It's like I'm back with an old friend. Shoutouts also to Bob Mottram. Bob did a lot of work with Noble Ape a few years ago, and he did it for about 3 years in a row, maybe 2.5 years in a row. And then he got a job, which is a good thing. But he stopped developing Noble Ape after that. And it's wonderful to have Bob come back, do a little dust over associated with the EcoSim code, and then just put it back. Very nice. Very nice to be in contact with Bob Mottram again, associated with EcoSim. I wanted to talk a little bit about the tone of the Short Funk recordings. I'm relatively mindful of the tone of the recordings, and a few of the recordings, in particular when I put up, strings of recordings that are slightly preachy, I do feel that. And it isn't really what I want Short Funk to be about, but a number of these topics are recorded in relative close proximity, either on a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon, or in this case, a Friday evening. And when I put them together, I don't necessarily work out how they're going to put together, basically in the week format, and sometimes I end up with a string of negative podcasts that unfortunately are put out to the end. I've got to apologise to the listeners associated with this. It's bad housekeeping on my part. I should always have plenty of Short Funk recordings available, and I should have a smorgasbord to choose from associated with what I put out in what day. A final plug for the Short Funk Facebook group. The Short Funk Facebook group is giving me invaluable feedback associated with putting out remixed Ape Realities. Out of all the Short Funks that I put out, the Ape Realities have not scored very well amongst the fans. So I will not be putting out Ape Realities in the future, remixed Ape Realities, except to say 2006 through to 2016 represents a decade of podcasting. And I'd like to utilise Short Funk as a means of discussing this milestone and what needs to be done because of it. I'm feeling a little bit like there needs to be a Kickstarter associated with 10 years in podcasting. And I feel it's a milestone that is greater than the sum of the parts, greater than 100 episodes of Model Rail Radio, greater than all the wide variety of Biota lives, greater than Stone Apes beyond, well beyond 100. There's something to celebrate there, and I'm trying to work out what it is. It'll also be 20 years since the start of Noble Ape, and I think those two milestones could be celebrated separately, could be celebrated together. Tom Barbalet in San Jose, signing out.